Hi, Lynn Walden here, and welcome to my channel. I'm doing a collective reading for the sun sign of Taurus. Full disclosure, I am a Taurus. But what I've been guided to do by my guides is to start my day with my own spread to clear that energy out of the way so that it doesn't accidentally fall into the other readings. So even though I am reading this as a Taurus and it relates to me, it is different than the one I received this morning, and it is for the collective. So here we go. As I reflected on these cards, a whole bunch of information came in. And I suppose it's because I really can relate it to this particular period in my life and how I'm looking at things. Taurus has a tendency to be very hard workers. They don't always look like they're working hard because a lot of the work goes on behind the scenes and it can be slow and it can seem plodding, but what it is consistent. And Taurus can be consistently moving towards a goal for a long time and then suddenly arrive and people go, what happened? Like overnight success after 20 years really is what it is. It's a lot of work that goes into it with an intention, with a determination. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, that work can be done as a struggle and work can be done as a pleasure. And the tendency very often, because Taurus is literally nose to the grindstone kind of work a lot of the time, is that sometimes it can be done without pleasure. So what you're being asked to do is really take into account where you're not applying pleasure in your life. Where is your work or your obligations, your responsibility towards anything lost its pleasure? Typically, we tend to think of pleasure as being something that takes us away from virtuous activity or productivity. But the truth is, when we work with pleasure, we're in touch with our hearts, and we're also in touch with that creative side of our brain and the intuitive side. We're a lot more inclined to get more done. I remember specifically when I was creating a workshop at one point, and I was on a timeline to get it into the school that was going to be hosting it. I was working, I was trying to figure this piece out, and I couldn't quite get what the connection was. When I checked in, what I really wanted to do, what really was going to give me pleasure, was dancing. So I got up, cleared the floor, danced like a fiend for 5 minutes. And all of a sudden I was done. And the idea popped into my mind and I went back to work. Well, it's great when those moments come in and you're reminded to do it. But what about instead if you determine that you are going to let pleasure be the guiding force in your work or in your responsibilities, and you're looking constantly, or consistently at least, for a way to make it pleasurable? Part of what can help you do that is realizing you're not the only one. There is something bigger than you that's helping you. Now, we know, of course, those of us who deal with metaphysics and all juicy stuff like that, is that when you are working with positive intention and with the idea that what you're doing is making the world a better place. Now, let me clarify. Better place doesn't have to be highfalutin. It doesn't have to be Mother Teresa. It can be making art. It can be creating beautiful things. And it can be, according to the great philosophers from all time, the greatest thing that you can do is to work from a happy place, to be in a happy place, and let that energy permeate everything that you do, because it does. It permeates what you create. It's in the art. It's in the clothes. It's in whatever your métier is. It's there. It's in it. It's imbued with it. And it also guides you to produce things differently and to create differently. All of this quality of pleasurable energy, when it's heartfelt, when it's good, it moves you towards those things, and you emanate that around you. Remember, we're all having an electromagnetic field around us, and people pick up on that. You know that yourselves, right? You know, you feel when somebody's in an icky mood, or when somebody's off, or when somebody is just somebody, you know, you just don't want to be too near today. So please, Taurus, I know you're hard workers. I know it. Look for the pleasure and trust that when you do that, that there is more than just you. You don't have to be nose to the grindstone. Invoke, ask, request, acknowledge that there is a greater force for you that is guiding you towards whatever it is you want to create. And when you find yourself overwhelmed, and this is really important, stress can build up in a way where we don't even realize it's building up. And especially, I think it's relevant, particularly in this day and age where you have so many more entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs. The tasks build up. And if you're a creative person, maybe you're not good at doing all the other tasks. Lord, no, I need an accountant and I needed somebody to help me with my website. I couldn't do all those things. The thing is, make a list of the things that are stressing you, that you have to do that are stressing you. Just write them all down. Get them out on paper and then look at them. What can you drop? What's the easiest thing on the list that you can knock off? And, you know, like, I gotta say, like for me, composting here in Nova Scotia, it's a headache. I do it. It's a good thing to do. But I hate getting my composting ready every 2 weeks. If it were every week, it would be easier, guys, just in case anybody from Nova Scotia Health is listening. That's the thing that really drives me crazy. And that can weigh on my mind for a whole day until I say, okay, it's time now, get it done. And once it's done, I feel light as a feather. I know that may sound like a simple example, but I think it's good because what it really shows is that there are all sorts of things that can create stress and we're not even aware of them building up on us. So make a list of the things that are stressing you. See what you can knock off easily. And if there are things on there that you can't handle or that you haven't taken the time to investigate, take the time to do it. If you can't do it yourself, but you know that you can get help, call that person who's going to help you with your computer and just give it to him to do it, or her to do it, or them to do it. Look at it. Check out the list. Know that you've got support. You've got support cosmically, and chances are you can create support within your community for whatever else you need doing. So Taurus, for the week, what I'm suggesting is please check in with where the pleasure has gone from your work, from your life. But I'm feeling specifically with work or obligation, responsibility. So it may not be work as in I'm making money doing this, but it may be work as in I'm taking care of someone that needs taking care of. Look at where you can inject some pleasure into that, where you have become perhaps overly focused on that. And I'm just going to pull another card on that. I'm using my new deck of cards, the ones I made. They're so pretty, and they're so good. All right. I suppose the silliness that I'm experiencing in this reading is actually very much part of what I'm talking about. I am doing something that's really important to me and that I think is important and good for you. And I can also have fun doing it and be a little bit silly and not lose the focus of what I'm doing, not lose it. In fact, it's building it. Yeah, perfect. So the other card that comes up here is Overwhelm, which is exactly what I was going to start talking about when it came to drop the weight. When I was saying that there is a tendency for us to have things at the back of our mind, like the composting, that we don't even realize it's a cumulative stress. The thing about that is it really can send us into a state of overwhelm. And we don't often notice it. Like, we tend to think overwhelm happens all of a sudden, but it doesn't. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. So one of the most beneficial things to do is to notice what those stressors are and clear them away. Deal with them before they become, when they are individual things, before they become a block that's weighing down on you. Can you start noticing that? And of course you can. Absolutely you can. And one of the ways that you can is to stop and look at where you can take care of yourself better. Check in with yourself and say, am I taking care of me? What could I be doing now to take better care of me? Not that it's another burden, but where am I nose to the grindstone, forgetting that I have higher source working for me, forgetting that I have community and can reach out and create community? Where am I doing that? Please, Taurus, please. Yes, work. Be productive. It's your nature. Your nature is to create and to manifest. That is one of the aspects of a nurse sign, but particularly with Taurus. The more pleasure that you can bring into your life while you're doing that, the more productive you're actually going to be. So this week in particular, remember that you've got higher source working with you and for you. Check in with your guides. If you believe in guides, if you believe in your angels, now's the week to really call them in. Work with the intention of pleasure. Fulfill your responsibilities with the intention of pleasure. Notice where you've got stressors that might be building up that you haven't really quite identified. Take off the ones that are easy to do, that are fairly easy to do, that feel like they're going to take 2 hours and probably will take 5 minutes. Make that phone call that is weighing on you. Drop that weight. And remember that you are the only one who can develop these traits for yourself, these loving, caretaking traits where you allow yourself to have support, to accept the support, to seek out the support, and to experience whatever you're doing with pleasure. So that's it, Taurus. I perhaps said a little bit more than I intended, and I did get silly, but I found it quite pleasurable. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.